campaigns set up, whether those are email, text campaigns, to do a lot of these 19 plus contact attempts for you. So if you haven't created your own campaigns for different types of leads, automated emails or texts that go out to them, you're going to be able to, you're missing out on a big opportunity to have automation do some of the big heavy lifting for you. So one thing I'd recommend is really dial in your campaigns within your own systems that you use. What emails are going out? What times are they going out? What's the content of those emails? How am I making those valuable and relevant? Most people don't have time. Most agents aren't going to have time to, sit down and make 20, 30 phone calls every day. And you don't want to. That's annoying, right? So we need to diversify our communication. And one way we can do that is by doing a mix of calls, texts, and emails and having some of those be automated.
Welcome to the Whissel Way Podcast. I am your host today, Bryan Koci, the Director of Marketing at Whissel Realty Group, and I am joined by Rachel Choo.
Hi there.
Rachel, what do you do here at Whissel?
You know, what don't I do? No, I'm just kidding.
That's true.
I'm the Director of Inside Sales here at Whissel Realty Group.
Wonderful. So you manage, grow, train, party with our ISA team, our inside sales team.
Things, yes.
And so we have a team. Give us a little vibe on our team so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So at Whissel Realty currently we have 7 ISAs, so we're growing. We handle all of the inbound communication and manage all of our clients until they're ready to meet with one of our outside sales agents.
Perfect. So today let me tell what we're going to talk about, then I'll do the whole plug of the boring shit that Kyle always does. But today I want to talk a little bit about something that we've been noticing this last year. By we, I meaning you, because I don't deal with this on the marketing side so much. But you've noticed a significant decrease in the answer rate when your team is making outbound calls. So today I want to talk a little bit about why that is, why it's more than just phone calls, but it's other things as well, and then some of the potential solutions.
Yeah, definitely. So,
not yet though, almost. So if you guys like the show, please. Thumbs up on YouTube, like, subscribe, do all those things. Write us a review on your favorite podcast app. That does really well. Helps other people find out about the show. Share this information if you know someone that is running an ISA team, is having ISAs that are having trouble, or if you yourself are making phone calls, or if you know someone else that's doing a lot of phone calls that needs some help. Share this episode specifically with them. If you go to thewhisselway.com, that is our hub for all of our agent news. So we have our Facebook group, our YouTube channel, our podcast, our referral network, where you can sign up to where we have people moving out of the country or out of San Diego, we can send them your way. We also have information about our Media Mayor Mastermind course. This is the course that Kyle and I have created, along with our media team, to kind of explain all of the things that we have done, the things that we are doing, and the things that we plan to do with video creation that has created over thousands of videos, millions of views, and helped not only create transactions, but make it easier for our agents and for our consumers, our clients. I think I'm missing one other thing. I'm not sure. You can also sign up for our email newsletter. All of that is at thewhisselway.com. Did I miss anything, Tom? Cool. Easy. So let's get into it. You noticed, I think you probably mentioned this 3-4 months ago, you're noticing a decreased answer rate when you're making outbound phone calls, or your team is. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, as usual, I'm sure anybody who manages a team or looks into that, we're always looking at our numbers, we're looking at our performance, seeing how things are going and what we can do to do better. And we have had a steep decline in our answer rate, our connectivity rate. And so even though our, effort metrics have stayed about the same across the board, we've had a lot fewer appointments, had a lot fewer conversations. And so, of course, my first reaction is, oh no, is maybe my team not feeling as motivated, or, what's going on? And so did some digging, and though the effort metrics stayed the same, we're getting a lot fewer connections. So we consider a connection like a 2-minute plus phone call, right? Or a conversation is a 2-minute phone call, and a connection is anything under a minute. And so the people that we're talking to are...
And real quick, the reason why we do under a minute, we utilize, and this is calling through FUB, right?
Correct.
Follow Up Boss. Follow Up Boss counts the ring time as
30 seconds or so.
Yeah. So if it rings for 30 seconds and you get the voicemail and you hang up, that counts as a 30-second connection. So that's why we limit it at a minute. So we're not be like, wow, look, all of these are 30 seconds. No, they're not. It's just ringing. We're not connecting with them yet.
Exactly.
That's why we put the minute timer on there.
Yeah, it just helps us classify the difference between what are real conversations with the lead versus what's just, leaving voicemails or somebody hanging up on you.
Yep.
So anyway, we're still having conversations, but we're not able to have as many with as many people. So we look at the connection rate and see that we're just still doing all these outbound dials, outbound text messages, and not getting a whole lot back. And so, to me, I'm alarmed. So I'm wondering, okay, what's going on? I do some digging, and there's actually been a couple new laws passed about outreach, to protect the consumers, which depending on, if you're sitting at home, that's a great thing. But if you're got your work hat on and you're trying to do outbound dials and, meet with prospects, it's a scary thing.
Yeah. And I think we can all appreciate both sides of it.
Exactly.
Like I'm getting the spam likely and I'll be like, let me answer this one. Hi, I'm Cindy from Dealer Services.
You might be the only person who actually sees a spam likely and answer.
Oh, I answer
I've heard of
quite often. But also with text messages, it's getting absurd.
Right. And in marketing, text messages have become more and more popular. It started kind of with email being the one that was kind of the junk one, right? Where everybody would get all these crappy emails and they'd mark them. And then text message was more of a sacred, this is real conversation space. But as technology increases, we've seen a lot of marketing material move into text messages, which therefore has led to more flagged communication, which takes away from the integrity of doing text messages as well. So it's just, part of the evolution, I think, of becoming a more tech forward society. And so we take the good with the bad and we're just trying to learn how to deal with it.
So the carriers themselves are cracking down on these things. And this is really important to know, especially if you're using your own cell phone. We've had one of our agents have this happen to him. He was using his own cell phone. I think he was inviting people to a friends and family event that we were doing. And so he had copied a text message and was sending it to his friends and family. Well, not too long after that, his carrier completely disabled his text messages. He wasn't able to send or receive text messages. They didn't send him a notice saying, hey, you've been shut off. So he was just like, no one likes me anymore. This is really weird. Until he realized his text messages were completely shut off. So if you're doing this from your own cell phone, be very careful. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the tools and solutions we can use a little bit later. But I just want to warn those that are listening, be careful about doing that with your own cell phone. It's actually happening. I think he's actually here today.
Yeah, it's crazy. Even if it's, to people that you always text and you have a log of clearly, these numbers, I'm sure on the back if they can see that these two numbers have had a lot of exchanges, but it doesn't matter if you're continuing to copy paste. That's a super dangerous thing. You have to change your verbiage quite a bit because even if you're just changing one or two words, the algorithms have become more advanced and they'll still flag you. So, the days of copy pasting marketing messages and just sending them to everybody in your CRM is coming to an end.
Absolutely. And I know there are ways that some of the systems that make phone calls and text messages are working around this, registering with the different cell carriers. But one of the things that you mentioned that I think was really important, and again, as you're building this out, is they're looking at two-way communication as well. How many times are you sending out a text message with no response? The more often you do that, how many times you're calling with no answer, the more times you do that, and I'm making up this part here because I don't know exactly how they rank it, but you're going to have a lower score, a less trusted score. I don't know if they call it a score or a rating or whatever. So that way you're a lot more likely to get flagged and shut off as well.
Right. And one way to combat that, I know we're getting into that soon, is you want to make sure if you are doing outbound text strategies that you're always leaving it with a question. So you're more likely to get that response back, to your point. Otherwise, you're going to look like one of those flagged people who's just mass spamming people.
So we've had a decreased answer rate, which has led to decreased appointments, even though the effort metrics stay the same. How do we fix this? Like, keep doing what we're doing. It's only going to get worse, right? How do we either get a better answer rate or find ways to reach out to more people?
Yeah. So there's good and bad news as with all change. And, we pride ourselves on always finding solutions to problems. At our company, it's one of our core values is be the solution. So just because this is happening does not mean it's impossible or that calling has become a bad medium of contact or outreach. I think it means a couple things. So one, it's going to mean we are going to have to increase our effort metrics. And the good news about that is that most agents are not going to want to do that work. So if you're somebody who's staying ahead of trends, listening to this podcast, learning about what's going on, you're going to be in the know and be able to not get discouraged and just know, hey, this is just another hurdle I have to overcome. So the unsexy part of this is it's just going to have to be more outbound work, which, hey, it is what it is.
Obviously, things change for different people in different markets, but give me a baseline because I don't even know what an effort, I know what it means, but give me some effort metrics and some minimums that you have for your ISA teams.
Yeah.
Probably one is outbound dials, I'm guessing.
100% outbound dials. So fun fact, as far as we're talking about effort metrics, it takes 19 attempts. So this is outbound attempts, whether that's an email, a phone call, a text message, a mix of all three. It takes an average of 19 of those to get a response from a lead.
Well, that's fine because everyone here is doing at least 19.
Sure we are.
Everyone watching, obviously, they're hitting this,
I'm sure
these
you're
people
doing
19 times. We look in their system. I'm sure it's fine. But yeah, 19 attempts.
Which is crazy. So, I mean, if you're struggling with this, one thing I'd recommend is to take a look at your CRM, look at whatever you're making dials through, and look at your log. Are you outreaching new leads at least 19 times? I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of outbound attempts. Most people, I think I saw a stat somewhere, it's usually most people give 1 to 2, maybe 3 tops for any sales organization as like an average salesperson. If we know that we need at least 19 just to get a response, that's not even a yes to an appointment or it's just a response. That data is really important because we know that we're going to have to increase those metrics to get something.
Yeah, I think I looked at that, and I'm going from memory, so I could be wrong, but I think I looked at that graph too. And it showed the number of call attempts to connection or number of call attempts per agent or something like that. It came from Zillow or Redfin or something. And I think the highest number, the most people on that graph, I think was 0. I think most people bought a lead from Zillow or Redfin or Realtor or whatever and made 0 call attempts.
Yeah.
So there's an issue there. And what I also want to impress upon you on this point is, especially as markets are changing, you don't necessarily need more leads. You need to do more with the leads you have. So if you're like, man, I'm calling these guys to death. If you're not doing 19, that's the number for our team. If you're not doing 19, there's room to improve there. There's room to dig for gold in your CRM to utilize what you have rather than going out and buying more as things are shifting.
100%. So we can always go deeper. And that kind of brings us back to the other question that you asked, which was, how do we combat this? We know that this is happening. We can't just stick our head in the sand. We have to do something about it. So what else can we do? We have a couple tools that we leverage. One, just within our own CRM, is it's really important to make sure that you have campaigns set up, whether those are email, text campaigns, to do a lot of these 19 plus contact attempts for you. So if you haven't created your own campaigns for different types of leads, automated emails or texts that go out to them, you're going to be able to, you're missing out on a big opportunity to have automation do some of the big heavy lifting for you. So one thing I'd recommend is really dial in your campaigns within your own systems that you use. What emails are going out? What times are they going out? What's the content of those emails? How am I making those valuable and relevant? Most people don't have time. Most agents aren't going to have time to, sit down and make 20, 30 phone calls every day. And you don't want to. That's annoying, right? So we need to diversify our communication. And one way we can do that is by doing a mix of calls, texts, and emails and having some of those be automated.
And so big shout out to Follow Up Boss. We use Follow Up Boss. We also use Ylopo. Big shout out to them. One of the things that we've done is we've built automations that have kicked off. They call them action plans, which use email templates. If I've lost you there, as you dig into it, you'll figure it out. But one of the things that they have is they have a ton of templates. And I really want to shout out to Barry Jenkins with Ylopo. He's put a lot of stuff in there that he's shared in there. And while what you mentioned is like tweak it, make it better, done is better than perfect.
100%.
But there was so many that I looked at his and I'm like, I love this. I just want to tweak it. Or, I didn't even know you could do this. He's inserting merge fields and I'm like, I didn't even know you could do that. So he's built out some really great stuff. If you have Follow Up Boss, I don't know if you have to have Ylopo. I don't know how exactly you get that. Reach out to Follow Up Boss. They'll tell you how to get those action plans. But yeah, so obviously some of those contact attempts in the action plan are emails, and they can give you notes to say, hey, make sure to call this person, make sure to text this person, because you can't do automated texting in there.
Right.
But okay, so Follow Up Boss, utilizing that tool, those action plans and email templates,
That's
phenomenal.
One really big tool that's important to have dialed in. Another great tool, so that handles the email part of the outreach, right? So our pretty classic contact attempts, we either have phone calls, we have text message, we have email. Those are the three kind of big three that we have. So having templates for email within Follow Up Boss is a great, or whatever CRM you use, most will have those. That's a great thing to get set up. For texting, we use a software called Call Action, which is amazing. So Call Action essentially allows you to do automated texting legally, because it uses a bunch of different phone numbers. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of that because it's very technical.
I'll tell you, Jesse's super smart.
But yes, Jesse the creator is an amazing guy.
And he's super ethical, because there's been times I'm like, how do I do this? He's like, you can't. I'm like, why not? He's like, because it's jacked up. I'm like,
yeah.
What are you talking about? He's like, we're not doing that. I'm like, couldn't you build it? He's like, I could, but I'm not going to. It's going to get you flagged, shut down. Like, he sees the long term. And so the stuff he's built and the stuff he's created really helps you be good with what you're doing.
Totally. Yeah. He's always forward thinking and super helpful with feedback. And so we use Call Action as a way to send out automated text campaigns to all of our leads. So essentially that way, that does some of the heavy lifting. Hey, so-and-so, we saw you were on our website, just wanted to see what I could help with, wanted to see what houses you're looking for, right? So we have these texts that go out and they're automated. And so you can customize the copy of the text. You can customize when it goes out, how many days, minutes, hours after. That it also has merge field capabilities. You can send GIFs. It's very user friendly. It is a little technical, so definitely when you're onboarding, it's a learning curve. But once you start using it, it's an amazing way to send more text messages and have that automation work for you with texting.
And some of the things that is really cool about their merge fields that I haven't seen. I don't think I've ever seen it before or after. They have some really cool merge fields, that things like time of day, day of the week. So you can say
afternoon, or good morning.
Afternoon, exactly. So you can schedule that out, and you're not going to be like, good morning, make sure it sends at 9. Like,
right. And you can set it at 9:03, and it's not as rigid as some of the other different softwares that you can use. So that's been really helpful as well, because we're able to send a higher volume of text messages to our leads, through this system.
And you can send GIFs or GIFs, however you care to say it. You can send audio files. You can send
voicemail
pictures,
drops, all of that.
Just as long as you don't do this, I hope this isn't an agent on our team. As long as you don't send a text message that says, I asked Rachel, I said, if you send this, I'm going to be really upset.
No way.
It says, Happy Tuesday. Are you still looking for a real estate agent? Don't
be that guy. Don't be that girl.
Don't be that. I want to text him back and be like, let's chat. I need to help you, because that's not what you do. Okay, so Call Action's phenomenal, and that's where we get our stat for 19. The other thing that's really cool about Call Action is it gives a really cool dashboard of some of our stats. So that's where we get our stats from that. And a quick note on that, one of the things that, again, this is how we conceptualized it. Our goal with Call Action is not to set an appointment by itself, auto run. We know we need to communicate a little bit more clearly. Our goal of Call Action is to get a response.
100%.
Once we get a response, that way we can go back and forth. And by we, it means not me. I don't know why I keep saying that. But so our team is just looking to get a response so that way we can have some of that back and forth. All right. So one of the things we talked about was effort metrics, right? Our connection rate is being down. So we can either work to increase that connection rate, which I don't think we have the capability. We don't.
Well, yeah, and part of it is, we have to accept that as things change, sometimes you have to work harder. The market is shifting right now too. You're going to have to do more. You're going to have to do more, and other times during a market, you're going to have to work less hard, and so that's just all part of the game.
You almost said it, but you say you're going to have to do more dials.
Yeah, more dials, more texting, more everything, really, more outbound attempts, regardless of what it is. And the other thing we can look at doing is looking at different mediums of contact, right? So we can leverage social media more than we have, right? Like there's a lot of agents who have had great success within DMs when they're posting stories that are engaging, that ask a question about, hey, are you curious about what's going on in the market? Here's a stat, call me if you want to know what your house is worth, or et cetera, right? There's stories or posts with calls to action from your own social media where you already have a trusted audience who knows and sees what you're doing. So
one of my favorite things, sorry to cut you off there, but one of my favorite, you reminded me of something that I've heard before, is posting a poll, right? And saying, asking a question that is divisive, that has to do with real estate, and then responding to everyone that says yes in the DMs. Are you looking to move in the next 2 years? Yes. Respond to everyone that says yes in the next 2 years, or that voted yes, and hit them up on the DM. Respond to everyone that said no and say, have you thought about refining or whatever? Don't come like, no, I don't plan on moving. Did you have friends or family that you don't be shitty about it, right? These are your sphere. These are people but reach out and use that to start a conversation.
And it's so easy the cool thing of, especially like you mentioned about polls, is it makes it almost effortless for any prospect to respond. Literally, they click a button, yes or no, but they're engaged enough to click it. And so basically now you have your in. You're not cold call. It's not like you're just messaging random people and asking them, hey, what do you think about real estate? Or have you thought about moving? These people have already engaged with your posts. And so polls are a great resource to utilize. Love that you brought that up.
So we talked about DMs. I keep trying to lead you here and you're not saying it. We
just haven't gotten there yet.
Increase. So when your answer rate is down, in order to get, again, we can't adjust the answer rate, but we can adjust how many phone calls we do, right? And so when you're using a phone and dialing one by one, you're limited. Mm-hmm. One of the tools that we have used for a long time is Mojo. So talk a little bit about Mojo and the triple line dialer.
Yeah. So Mojo is an amazing tool as well because you can leverage your time by calling multiple numbers at once rather than using a single line dialer, which is essentially just clicking to call phone numbers, right, as you go through your list. So if you haven't heard of Mojo, essentially what Mojo does is we call it a triple line dialer, which just means Mojo will call 3 phone numbers at once, and whichever one picks up is who you get connected with. And so basically it helps cut your time down significantly that you spend outbound prospect dialing, where you're just sitting there waiting for somebody to pick up, to get that lead. And so by utilizing Mojo, you can call more numbers in less time. So it can help with that effort metric as far as dials that are going out. So that's a great tool to use.
Wonderful. It was better than I'm glad we got there.
We were getting there. We were just taking our time talking about.
We keep getting real close and then bouncing. I'm like, come on, get to
it wasn't its time yet.
And then the other solution that I put down, and this is super high tech, super new. I don't know if you've ever heard about this. It's actually got a cool acronym. There's companies that are starting to do this. It's called direct mail. USPS, UPS, FEDEX, all these cool named companies, utilizing direct mail for specific pieces. Right. I think the days of the shotgun approach, that's not super, by definition, it's not specific. Right. But utilizing mail for maybe people that you have connected with or you haven't connected with, people that have, segment out, instead of doing 20,000 pieces, do a much smaller list, but a lot more targeted. So people that have filled out information on HomeBot, but you haven't been able to get in touch with. Different kind of mediums to really do more of a sniper approach. Again, people are still getting mail. Mm-hmm. A handwritten letter takes a lot more time, but again, it may be the connection attempt that my grandma would reply to. I don't even know if she has a smartphone that can get. She told my mom, she's like, "Hey, can you set up my phone to give me text messages?" She's like, "Grandma, you do.
Your phone will." Oh, we love that. That's cute.
Yeah, until she's like, "Text my grandpa," so he whatever.
But no, totally. And I think your point though about using it for specific mediums is important, because you don't want to just spend your whole day writing letters to everyone in your database. That's a terrible use of time. But like you said, maybe you're more high intent leads or people you've already connected with. That's going to be a lot more impactful to see a handwritten letter from somebody you've talked to already who knows you versus just, hey, to a stranger, right?
Or your past clients.
Yeah, or your past clients. So knowing which types of communication to use when and for what people.
Cool. Anything else that you want to touch on talking about answer rate, how to solve this problem or anything else? I think we covered a ton of systems, a ton of great options.
For sure. I think the final thing just to leave it with is, things are always changing. We're always going to have ups and downs with the market. We're always going to have these changes in technology. But, the most important thing regardless is to keep a positive attitude how you're doing it. You might have to do more. You might have to do more outreach. But once you get that person on the phone, this is the first time they've talked to you. So regardless of what's going on, if you're keeping a positive attitude, that's what's really ultimately going to help you make a meaningful connection with these leads.
Wonderful. So as we end our episode today, or before we end our episode, make sure you Follow up with us on thewhisselway.com. Write us a review. Do all the things that you're asking people to do, right? If you want, you guys know what to do.
You write us a review. We write you a review.
Are you committed to that?
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how many reviews this one gets.
I know previous ones have been super popular. So I think we went into a lot of great detail there. I'm pretty confident you'll be able to pick up one or two things from here. At least go forward with a little bit more knowledge of, hey, it's time to work a little bit harder to get the same results. Or you can utilize more systems to work smarter. Write us a review, like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. All right. Now we're heading into the next section of our podcast, our final section of the podcast, our Whissel Widget of the Week. This is something that we utilize in our day-to-day life, in our business, in our, I guess that's kind of most of the things, right? That make things easier, more fun, something that you want to share with the world.
Heck yeah. So I'm super passionate about this one. I am so bored of going to a gym. I just got super gymmed out in college. I think the gym is boring. No offense to you if you guys are avid gym goers, good for you. But I
pay, I just don't go.
Yeah, well, there you go. See, if you're not good.
I feel like that's a charity I'm
You
donating
need what I'm
to.
about to tell you about. No, we'll see. So I use what's called ClassPass, ClassPass, ClassPass. And essentially it's a membership that you pay for. There's different tiers depending on how often you want to go. But you pay into the system and it allows you to take workout classes from pretty much any studio in your local area. So some days you can do kickboxing. Sometimes you can do yoga. Sometimes you can maybe do a HIIT cardio workout. Sometimes you can do Pilates, right? So there's all these different types that you can try. And so it keeps working out from being boring and the same thing going to the same place. And it makes it more fun and gives you an opportunity to try a bunch of new things. So if you're looking to spice up your exercise life, I highly recommend ClassPass. I've been a user for a couple years and I love it.
I don't like trying new things.
Well, Bryan, some people might. So if you do like trying new things, ClassPass is for you.
HIIT is high intensity training.
Yes.
I was
interval training.
Oh, high interval. I'm like,
there's 2 eyes.
I was like, HIIT? Why are you going to
It's not a
HIIT
good
and then
time,
endurance?
but...
My widget this week, I'm actually going to change it. I didn't even write it down. And I think we've talked about it in the past, but it's a way to manage all of your passwords in a singular place. It's also a cool thing is you can share your logins with other people without them seeing your password. This is called LastPass. So
ClassPass and LastPass. That's not going to confuse any of them.
No, I thought let's make it difficult. We're gonna have to take notes. So LastPass. Pretty cool. I've got my mom set up on it, so that way, if she doesn't know a password, we have it all set up in there. And we utilize it for our team to share it with our international team for some of our logins. LastPass is my widget this week. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We will talk with you guys we're not going to talk with you. We'll see you guys. You'll see us. Whatever. Tom's giving me the smile and shake his head. Sorry, guys.
Thanks for joining us today.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Wait. Before you leave, I want to share some more tips and tricks that we're using in our business to take it to that next level. Just click right here. And don't forget to subscribe. Click right here.